What's happening, Wolfpack? It's your boy Cooks and welcome to Wolfstaar, helping you be the best you. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to build good habits and how to change your bad habits. And this has all come about because I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment called The Power of Habits. I'll put a link to it in the description box of this video so you can listen to it if you want or buy a copy to read. It's really, really good and it's helping me understand a lot about myself. So essentially, I'll start with a bit of science that I've learned. And it essentially says that all of our habits are stored in the middle of our brain, deep inside where the skull connects to the spine, in something called the basal ganglia. Now, the basal ganglia is about walnut size and it's a group of cells. And essentially, it stores automation. It's the best way I can describe it. So let's say, for example, you're driving a car, which is a really complex activity because you're having to do so many different things at the exact same time. Yet, whilst doing this, you're able to talk about, let's say, what toppings you want on your pizza that evening. Now, how are you able to do something so complex yet do something else at the same time? And the answer is habit. And that habit is stored in your basal ganglia because all of these actions that it takes to drive a car have become automated. They sit there and you kind of do it as a second nature, which leaves you free to talk about pizza toppings, which is obviously a great thing to talk about. But the way that habits work are really interesting actually, and they work based on something called a habit loop. Now, a habit loop is in three parts. The habit loop is a cue, it's a routine, and it's a reward. So I'll give an example. Let's say brushing your teeth. So the cue is when you wake up and you get that furry feeling in your mouth. Your routine is that you get up, you go to the bathroom and you brush your teeth. And the reward is having a fresh mouth and minty fresh breath. So that in essence is the habit loop, and you can apply it literally to every single part of your life. From your routine when you get to work and make yourself a cup of tea, or when you get home at night, or when you're at school, or whatever it might be, everything that you do is a routine and it's actually a part of the habit loop. Now, there's two more components to this, which I'll go on to later. There's cravings and your support group. But let's say, for example, you want to create a good habit. So how do you go about doing this? Well, essentially, you need to understand what your habit loop is in connection to your new habit. And so an example could be you want to get up and run every morning. So first of all, this is where the next component comes in, and it's a craving. What's your craving? And you have to really understand this about yourself. It could be that you just want to get fitter. So that is your craving. You want to get fitter. So how could you create a habit loop around going for a run so that it becomes second nature? It could be as simple as you set your alarm maybe half an hour earlier, and your cue could be that as soon as you wake up, your running kit is already set up next to the bed. So you've woken up, you step out of bed and okay, there's your trainers and your shorts and your t-shirt and you're ready for a run. So your routine has now changed. So you've woken up with your cue, your routine has changed because you've put on your running gear, and your reward is going to be that you've gone for a run and you've come back and you've achieved something that you wanted to achieve. And you do this long enough, let's say for 10, 15, 20 days, it starts to become a really, really good habit. Now, the other part of this, alongside your habit loop and alongside your craving, is actually a support group, because there's going to be times when you just don't want to do it, and regardless of how good your routine in your habit loop is and how good your craving is, it might be pouring with rain outside, you might have had a really, really heavy night the night before, so you're going to need a support group. And that support group can just be one more person. It could be your partner, it could be your best friend, it could be an online community. But those times when you feel as though you can't commit and you won't be able to follow through with your new habit, you reach out to your support group, and then essentially they'll help you talk through what the problem is that's stopping you carrying on with your brand new habit. And with all of that combined, you'll eventually create a new habit which will last you an absolute lifetime. And oftentimes, we all want to create good habits, and whatever habit you choose is going to be great for you. On the other side, there's bad habits. And let's say there's a bad habit that you want to change. Now, it's really interesting to know that you cannot essentially delete habits from your basal ganglia. It just doesn't happen. Once it's programmed and it's in there, it's always in there. But what you can do is you can change your habit loop. That's right. So remember, the habit loop is your cue, your routine, and your reward. So I don't know, let's think of an example. Okay, so let's say you've got a bad habit of biting your nails. Now, in order to change this bad habit, because you can't essentially eradicate it, but you can change your habit loop, is you understand what your cue is. So the cue could be, let's say you start to feel quite anxious. And once you start looking into the routine, you will understand that when you start to feel anxious, which is your cue, automatically your routine becomes that your hand goes to your mouth and you start nibbling. And the reward from that habit loop is that you feel a sense of calm, or you feel a sensation in your fingers, which takes away from the anxiety that you were thinking about originally. So how do you change this particular habit? Well, you have to dissect yourself. You have to look at your own habit loop and say, well, okay, every time I feel anxious, why am I feeling anxious? And then once you start to understand why you feel anxious, you can change the routine that comes after that. So it could be a case of, rather than biting your nails, you perhaps sit on your hands, or you tap on the table, or you change the routine to something else that doesn't hurt you in the same way as biting your nails hurts you. And then once you've changed that, your reward would also start to change, which is incredibly powerful. But essentially, both with good habits and with bad habits, or creating new habits altogether, it's all about knowing you and dissecting yourself and understanding where all of these different things come from. I mean, there's so much more to learn on this particular topic, but I thought, the habit loop in itself, alongside the cravings, as well as the support group aspect that goes with it, was incredibly profound for me. And really, I'm going to carry on learning about this particular topic, but I thought I'd like to share it with you because in its simplicity, once you know about the habit loop, you know about cravings driving it, and you know that there's a support group that's needed to make all of these good habits stick and the changes that you want to make stick, you can start to do something about it. And like I said, look, I'm putting the link to the book in the description box, and hopefully you can go on this journey too and start building some new habits. Also, what would be great is I'd love for you to share with me habit loops that perhaps you've got. I'll do the same once I've had a bit more time to think about it, and I'll put them in the description box too. Look, I hope you've enjoyed this video and you enjoy the content that I'm putting out. If you do, I'd really appreciate it if you like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel so you know when new videos come out. Until next time, remember, be the good wolf.